Hi there, welcome to my video on interactive content in h5p.org. This video will show you how to use the dialogue cards to illustrate learning a new language. For the purposes of this video, I will use dialogue cards to illustrate how you can teach and help students learn Spanish. So the first step for this tutorial is to add a title. And so my title here is to say this is a fun dialogue card activity to learn Spanish. And give them the instructions, because a lot of people may see it, but that doesn't mean they actually know what the instructions are. So I just want to let students know that for each question and image that they see, they want to name the corresponding word in Spanish that are associated with the item. And so I'm going to start out with the first one and say, what would you call a blazer in Spanish? And then I can give the answer here, but also reference this image to say, I want to know, what would you call the equivalent of a blazer in Spanish? And then follow the steps in this activity and add some alternative text so that when students are hovering over this image, that they'll see the word blazer come up. And that's just to remind them when they see this that you want to enter the corresponding word in Spanish. And if I'd like to take it a step further, I can also add an audio file to say blazer. And then it could just be that students sometimes see it and they don't comprehend it, and just to have an audio file just to help them type out the actual word. So that's just one of them. And then I can even give them hints and say, like, parts of the word for the stem of fabrics, to say if you don't know off the bat how to figure out what the word is in Spanish, go back to the basics and some of the concepts that we learned about word stems, and that might help jog your memory about what the actual word in Spanish might be. And then just give the actual answer in Spanish is chaqueta de sport. And that's just an example here. And so that's just one activity, and I can add more and say, what would you call this outfit in Spanish? And say hints is, I want to give them a hint, but let me add the image just to give them some examples. And I want to be clear, I want to call call this entire outfit, because the outfit is a top, bottom, and a sweater. So give them a word, and I'm just going to say for top, cardigan, top, and bottom, to say that the answer is 3 words: a Spanish equivalent for cardigan, a Spanish equivalent for top, and a Spanish equivalent for bottom. And then just put some alternative dummy text. And if I'd like, I can continue to add an audio file or link to an audio file through YouTube. And then add some hints, like the word is based off of stems that we learned in clothing. And then just give them some more tips to say, look through the previous activity and get some hints on the answer, just to guide my students to the answer, because it may be initially challenging for them to think off of their feet quickly, but this sort of gives them a little bit of a hint and puts them in the right direction. And then I can decide to randomize the cards. And so if I have more than 2, it'll be easier, because 2 doesn't really give a lot of choices when I'm teaching this lesson. But if I have more random choices, if I use this as a quiz, then students wouldn't be able to copy off each other if they sat next to each other, because they're in different orders. And I also want to scale the text to fit inside the card, so that this text displays inside the box and rather than outside the box. And then if I have any text overrides, I can change it. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to keep it really simple and not confuse you. And then click Save. and let this save so that I can refer to it and edit later on. The advantage of using h5p.org is that once you create the content, you can always reuse it and repurpose it for different lessons. So it's really helpful so that you don't have to start from scratch. And as you can see, this is what the first one looks like, and the second one looks like if I flipped it around. But the idea is that students will see that what the word hints are. And it's just a fun way of delivering and creating different lessons for your students. So I hope this tutorial was helpful. If you have any questions, leave a comment or question, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks again. Bye.